everyone, and welcome to the KoloCast, episode 5, baby. A weekly podcast from the folks here at the Kolosseum featuring myself, Mr.Aquaman, and the man over there to the right, Flashyy. What's going on, Flashyy?
What is going on, Aquaman? Honestly, we've had some awesome episodes, but I think I'm most excited for this one. We have one of my favorite players, one of the nicest dudes in the entire community. I can't wait to get to talk to him and get to know him a little bit more. Bring us in, Aquaman. Who do we got today?
We have got. I have 0 topics written down. I'm going into this absolutely just with the state of mind of getting a conversation with our guest here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The nicest guy in the fighting game community, one of the nicest people on planet Earth. That is the best way to introduce this man. Welcome, Gur, to the KoloCast. Gur, tell us a bit about yourself, man.
Hey there. As you know, I'm Gur, real name George, and I've been competing in fighting games for as long as like 7-8 years, beginning with Injustice 1 is when I really got into the FGC, but even before then I've been playing like MK9 or Street Fighter casually, but Injustice 1 is when I really got to know what the community is all about, and just basically how I just went forward with it, I got a sponsor, knew so many great people, and just kept playing, and here I am today, just talking with you, Aquaman and Flashyy.
That's actually kind of how we started too. Was back in those Injustice 1 days at an event, just hanging out, man, having good times, and here we are almost a decade later. And one of my favorite people that I've met throughout those years, man. I think Flashyy could say the same. When I even just said your name, he lit up like the 4th of July over there. And Flashyy, I'm going to piggyback off of your answer to be able to talk about my experience being this guy. But how was your first time getting to meet someone like Gur in person at an event?
Dude,
to get it started?
I was telling him, I was like, first and foremost, this man, the first event I went to, Gur actually took the win. He was in grand finals, reset the bracket, and he won. And this man had the most terrifying pop-off I've ever seen. He gets up, chair falls back behind him, throws the controller. It's like, fuck yeah, just screaming. And I was like, holy shit, that guy.
Gur did this? I gotta see this.
That guy right there did that. And then at the end of the event, I went to shake his hand. I was like, congrats, yo, like, awesome to meet you. That was great. And then literally just gives me a hug, gives me a handshake. He's like, it's so nice to meet you, man. Took a picture together. I was like, that was not the same person that I saw over there throwing the chair and the controller after he just won, screaming at the top of his lungs. Like, it was the most crazy thing ever. But that's when I learned. I was like, not only is this person like the most passionate about the game, but he's also like one of the nicest dudes ever. So that was like, I always have that in my mind, like forever. And that was the first thing I said to him when he jumped on the call. I was like, man, you're the scariest person ever when you're competing, but when you're just chilling, like, you're the nicest dude. So the fact that you're able to balance that, I think we're actually going to talk about that. I think this is a good segue here. One thing that we notice is you're very passionate about the game, and being passionate brings a lot of emotions, and bringing a lot of emotions is both negative and positive. So I think one thing me and Aquaman wanted to talk to you about was like, how do you follow through after like just that mega high that you get after winning, and also how do you continue going after just that crater that you can fall into when losing? Kind of what do you do to get yourself out of those situations, and what do you do to just keep yourself moving when things like that happen?
I would say that it's definitely a lot harder, as you stated, with just being those high highs and those low lows, especially as a competitor where, there can only be one winner, and sometimes it's not going to be the result that you want. But it was something when I started out competing, something that I definitely struggled with over the years. And even I got some help from, Coach Steve in the community, a veteran player in the FGC who just played like multiple fighting games, was also like helping me out during those situations where like my emotions are just overwhelming me. But even going off of that, I learned so much on how to deal in those situations. It's just all about just taking those feelings, and for me personally, taking those feelings and making it a positive force no matter what. The tournaments, I know there's a lot of tournaments you see where it's just the most heartbreaking defeat that, would bring anybody down, even just hurt you like mentally. I always find a way to bring this as a lesson, as something that is going to be like a building block, a foundation for me to just keep doing what I'm doing no matter what, and to, get back up every time I fall down. And it's just it's just over the years of things I just dealt with. Even like during like MK9, I've gotten so many knives, and everybody knows what it feels like to get knifed.
Oh
It's
my
just you're just
goodness.
right there. I'm telling you right now, if you look at all the major tournaments that I got like knifed like 4 or 5 times in a row, and again, like people were just asking me why. Like even after that, like people are just like, if I happen to me, I would just never like play. I would never play again. I would
That
hate doing this and all that.
that was
And it's
actually
just
the one
all
thing I
about
brought
taking
up.
that piece.
Gerb,
Yeah.
when Flashy started talking, we started talking before you even got into the call here. It was when that topic was brought up. I remember the exact period that you're talking about. And Flashy, if you remember, I was like, there was a period where I think he got like 4 or 5 ninths in a row, and that is the breaking point. I feel like for almost everyone in the competitive space. I just got a ninth place, and I'm salty from it. It's just one. It's just one, and it will haunt me for the rest of my life. But how that particular moment of you've hit your fourth or your fifth kind of roadblock competitively, mentally, you're telling yourself, how do I overcome this ninth place? And on top of that, as what Flashy mentioned, and you yourself mentioned, these heartbreaking losses in those moments that just make a bad moment worse. And for you to be able to find something positive in that moment is absolutely incredible. And in that particular moment, where I feel like most people would break is when they feel like they're not improving, because that is important as a competitor, I feel like.
Mhm. Yeah, I try not to let those define like the kind of player I am, because it happens. You're gonna have those roadblocks, and no matter what happens, I still love to compete, and I still love to be around the people that also love to compete, and I just learned so much from them that I would have like not given it away for anything else. I don't take it for granted, and it's that kind of experience that is makes competing worth it for me. It's just, and when those moments, I have victories. A victory at RTX is just one of the favorites that bring up during my playing MK11. Playing on the stage, you're so loud, but I'm just so into it. And then, before I know it, 2-2 against one of the best players in the world, Dragon. And
That was one of the
I
best events
you're
I've ever been a
the
part of as well, by the way. I was there for that
yeah.
moment for him, and it was one of the most positive experiences I've ever even got to be near, was seeing you get that big victory. And to put things in perspective, it is crazy, even with what we do, man, with content creation, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Twitch, whether it be for us, a lot of online tournaments as well. Speaking from experience and a little bit from the competitive side of things, but it's crazy that there's this sensation of when you do succeed at what you love, that those positive moments are so euphoric that it makes when you have those bad moments worth it. And that's something that I get a lot, even just running online tournaments. When we have a bad day of running an online tournament, technology's not working out, boy, those suck absolute ass. And when you let down hundreds of people that are just trying to watch and get some entertainment in the afternoon, like that sucks balls. But when you have a great tournament that pops off, great numbers, everyone's having a good time, it's euphoric at the end. And do you feel that kind of same way as a competitor too?
100%, 100%. It's like that feeling just stays with you. You're just like, you just want to do more. You just want to keep chasing that feeling, and you know make it like a positive, like I said, a positive force for not only yourself, even people around you. Just like, this is something good. Like, something good, and you want to just keep working on it, keep improving it, going at it, and you just doesn't want to make you want to stop. It's just like a momentum thing, and it just like how you describe it, when it works out, it's one of the best feelings ever. I feel like it's nothing like it for me. Is why I just keep doing what I do.
Yeah, I think the difference between a lot of people will kind of talk about competitive players, and I think they just focus a lot on the actual skill of the game. But I think the difference of a good player and a great player is their mentality. Like, take away the placings, take away the prize pools, take away how much they've earned, whatever the case is. I think what kind of differentiates you from, maybe another player or any other player is that it seems like the head on your shoulders is just rock
Mm-hmm.
solid, man. Like, you're not letting the bullshit get to you. You know what you want, you know how to get to it, and you're just gonna keep with it. And what I really liked what you said at the beginning of this was you were like, that was something I struggled with in my early days. And I think that is so key for somebody to be able to kind of notice that about themselves, because it's really hard to look in the mirror and be like, I'm struggling with X or Y. And for you to notice that, still compete and move forward and learn something from it, and like you said, like get a lesson from it every time, like dude, that will take your career way farther than any first or second place could ever take it, because once your mindset is there and you have that mentality, like dude, the sky is the limit for you. And like I said, I noticed right from the first time I met you in person that you had that mental strength, you had that just that momentum in your head where you're like, I don't care what's going to try to stop me. I know how to be great and I'm going to be great. And like that dude is, holy shit, talk about inspiring. Like I'm not in the competitive space. I'm just on the content creator side. But like hearing you say that stuff, it's like, man, when I have a shitty video that does awful and I just feel bad about myself, like, no, man, learn from it. What'd you do wrong? What can you do better next time? And hearing that, and like that's another important thing, is like you can learn so much from so many different avenues. And that's why I love doing this show, because I might not be a competitive player, but I just learned something new about myself just by listening to you talk for 5 minutes. Like, just take the time to step back and see what you can learn. And hearing Aquaman say the same thing, it's like, we have a shitty day, doesn't fucking matter. You're gonna have a great day, and that's gonna be even better. And to hear that, man, is
Exactly.
absolutely awesome. And what I want to segue this question into is just like, what did you kind of do to get to that point, right? Because there had to be a point where you didn't even realize it was happening. You just felt like shit when you lost. Was there a point where you just
Mhm.
stepped back, or was it like you said, like you reached out to friends? Did they reach out to you? What was kind of just that movement of, okay, something's wrong. Now I got to fix it. Was it something on you? Was it someone coming up to you and being like, hey, man, this is clearly affecting you? Kind of just talk about what that transition of it making you feel like shit to it being a building block was.
Like Coach Steve, I met him like early on during like Injustice, and we were in like super close then. But as we got closer, and he notices when I play in these tournaments or like how I do, um, he just gave me just a lot of advice, even just things like mid tournament on things he notices, like really bad habits that I, as any other new player has all over the place, or notices that when the pressure is getting to me, that I'm just like kind of losing my grip on the set, or on the game in general. And there's just, he was kind of like that pillar for me, that support that was always there no matter what. And it was just, he was just a player, even like, and one of the greatest friends that I know, that I've always looked up to and always listened to. And it would just come to the point where he's been doing this for years. We would just play and we would help me out no matter like how I do, because we shared that same passion, that those same emotions when we play in the game. That even after we kind of venture off, because he's doing his own thing, he's been playing a lot of more games. I'm just still playing MK11. That when I play, I sort of have those lessons, those teachings, like in my head, or like spiritually, that he's there when I'm playing the game, and I've sort of adopted that kind of mindset and used it for myself, and it's gotten me so far since then. Learn how to stay hydrated, breathe. No matter what happens, take it a one game at a time, learn from it. And like I said, a combination of those things, foundations, and he's not the only player that I've learned from as well. It just overall just makes me um I just turned this into something, as like something for me, just like a skill, like a talent, or just a skill. I would call it a skill because it's something I just worked on for
Hey,
years. I,
absolutely.
I wouldn't even. I don't consider myself talented. People are just like, "Oh, you're talented. You've been doing this." No, I just been practicing. I just been practicing in multiple games. Specifically NRS games. But I love those games because I feel like they really work hard for you to get into that competitive mindset, and give you the tools for you to get better. And that's what I really like about NRS games, is their accessibility for FGC games, because generally they're seen as really difficult, like really difficult genre to get into. So even that alone, the fact that I got that help from Steve and other players in the FGC, and from what I've learned, experience, even what I've learned from myself and what I notice, it was just everything coming together, where that just molded me into the player I am today.
That's an incredible story. Coach Steve's one of the greatest out there. I feel like I need to take a shot just in his honor here on the show. But shouts to Coach Steve out there, one of the goats. One thing that you mentioned, and it's a pattern that I'm starting to see in kind of a lot of your answers, and We just did a episode with Kerbalicious not too long ago, and it was something similar in one of his origin stories that kind of resonates. And it resonates in how I'm thinking about even how we create content here in the Kolosseum and how we've created content our whole lives, it feels like. But it's having positive people around you or people around you that can lift yourself up in those moments as well and be like you mentioned kind of a rock through those moments. And for the FGC, that you can apply that to the entire thing, man. Like we're kind of all in this together, and it is getting difficult, to keep this a really positive place. And so you've kind of been a beacon in that regard, and I thank you so much for being that. But thank you so much for just being a positive person, Gur. And it for someone like me, every time I go to an event, you make me feel a lot better. Just your presence being there, and it goes with anything. When I'm running an online tournament and you're there, it's a positive thing, man. And when we work here on these Coliseum shows, the team that we have, I couldn't do it without them. If I'm having a bad night and I want to punch a hole in my wall, one of them usually is there to save me, or vice versa, man. It's all about surrounding yourself with kind of how you want to be. If you're a positive person, I feel like you want to surround yourself with positive energy, and maybe there's some advice for people in that.
Dude, I'm about to start. I'll start tearing up, man. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm literally about to start crying right now. This is getting really deep, and I knew it would get there as we talk with Gur. And seriously, that's like a life lesson for anybody else. It doesn't matter if you're a player, viewer, whatever, content creator. Like, surround yourself with positive people and the ones that got your back. But before I actually start sobbing here on our show, let's divert this to. I really want to know the origin stories of Gur, because I only found out about you through the Adam days in Injustice 2, and hearing you say that you've been playing since Injustice 1 is that's crazy to me. So I want to hear, what got you into the NRS space? Where did you kind of discover that competitive scene even existed? And yeah, what got you into being like, you know what, I think I could play and I'm gonna go try it out. You said Injustice 1 was your first game, maybe a little MK9. Kind of get into the story of all that.
Yeah.
What's the story there?
So,
where did Gur come from?
so when I was playing the Street Fighter casually, like Street Fighter 4 online, I was just playing casually. It's not something I considered playing seriously or going to tournaments, because I honestly didn't even know that tournaments existed for fighting games like that. I basically there was this one day where I was with my mom, and I found a random tournament in the basement for Street Fighter, and I just went in there. So yeah, we got a tournament. Yeah, it was just a random tournament.
Basement? Because I need to know, because
there was a poster.
You just start off the story with, I was just in some random basement.
There was a poster.
There was a poster that said there was a
tournament. It was outside. Yeah. There was a tournament happening in a basement. Because it was like, there's a Street Fighter tournament down here or whatever, or like sign up. Like, all right, cool. Because it was a video game store. Okay, yeah, it was a video game store in the basement.
I was gonna say, if this was just in a random neyborhood, I think that's
no.
Street Fighter tournament.
a little too wild. but I entered that tournament, and I didn't. Of course, I didn't play that good. But the one thing I remember for that tournament is I did one random super. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Street Fighter, like Super Street Fighter 4. You know Hakan, right?
Oh yeah,
the Turkish oil wrestler. Yeah, I was playing Hakan, and when he does a super, he lays on his back, and then if you jump on him, it triggers a super. I did that random, a random super. And the opponent just randomly jumped, and I remember the crowd, the people in the room went crazy when that happened, and I just remember like, oh shoot, I was kind of hyped. Like I got beat so bad, I didn't even know if it was double or single elimination. Like I lost, like, oh that was fun, and I just left. But I just remember that moment. I think that was like my first ever like not FGC, but like fighting game tournament. And from then on, I started playing like MK9. That's what was casually. I went to a local in New Jersey, and I met a couple people there who also played MK9, but I don't think they were from the FGC. I think one person, I don't know if you guys remember KT Smith. I know Aquaman remembers, the Green Lantern player. I think I met him there at local battles, but even then I didn't know anything about the FGC. And it was until Injustice 1 where I started playing the game, and then I learned online of Next Level Battle Arcade, the New York City local in Brooklyn, and I went there for like a Saturday tournament, and that's like, oh, there's people who play Injustice. I was like playing with some random. I was playing Grundy and Sinestro. I wasn't really. I didn't even play Bane back then. But from then on, I started playing in these local tournaments, and it was just really fun. It was just nothing like I've experienced before. Above like the basement tournament and such. It's like there's so many games here, and people are playing it, and I'm so happy I found a place like this, and that's when I one of the tournaments I met Darth Arma. So as you guys know, the commentator Darth Arma, you guys already know MKNJ, and that's when he told me about all the tournaments that exist. That people playing.
That's the universe expanding right there in your mind of just like, oh my goodness, there's more, beyond, bigger,
yeah, there's
better.
Yeah, exactly. There's more. Like I learned about all these tournaments. I think there was one called Civil War. That's what like I looked it up. I don't remember what tournament where it was, but there was one called Civil War. There were also the GGA tournament, local tournaments, and I'm like, this is so sick.
Right here in Virginia at the time.
Yeah,
the only time I ever looked good on paper was that event gear. That very first Civil War was my best placing in an offline ever.
Really?
Highest key. I got 4th at the first Injustice major ever.
Oh, that's sick.
And the 3 people that outplaced me were testers. It was Brady, Rio, and Chris G who had tested the game for like weeks.
That's tough. Oh my god.
Could have been a champion. Sorry,
I said you have to test it. You have to test it.
I said get really, really salty right there. But those were some really crazy times. What was it? Real quick, you said that you had found or heard about Next Level Battle Circuit online. Do you remember where by chance?
Good question. It was either on Facebook, because I was using Facebook. That was like my first ever social media. Like I didn't really use it until I was like 15 or 16. I think it was on Facebook. There was like a post for Savage Saturdays. I remember that's what they called it. For like their Saturday tournaments for all these different games instead of like the main tournaments on Wednesdays. And I think from then I went to their website afterwards, and I tried to find out where it was, and it was like in Park Slope, which is like a train ride away, like a train and a transfer away. It was like a 30 to 40 minutes travel, and yeah, I just went there, asked them about it. I was very shy, and one thing about me is like I was very, at the time I was very, very timid, very like.
At the time, you still are. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, I still am.
Dude,
sometimes I feel different. a little bit different. I was definitely a lot quieter.
A little bit.
Minding my own business. Yeah, minding my own business. But yeah, from then on, I just entered multiple tournaments, and I think my first major at the time was NEC, and that's when I got 5th. I got 5th there for my first major tournament with Bane. And I remember who beat me. It was because I was in top 8, and oh my god, the feeling of being on that stage was nothing like it. It was so different because you're used to it hits different.
So different.
Yeah, you think the off-stream stations are like, oh, everybody's watching, but when you're on the stage, you're on stream and you're watching, just kind of like the local, but on a bigger scale. And I'm like, oh shoot, and I have these headphones, I can hear the game so well, and it was awesome. But I lost to I believe the Lex player. I'm trying to remember. I think it was PPJ. I think he won or got second.
PPJ probably was that NEC. That sounds about right.
Yeah, and I lost to Newbie and Losers, but really for my first major, I got that.
Those are really effing good players, by the way. For it to be your first tournament losses, that's crazy, and just speaks to your talent as a player, because that is not easy to pull off. Especially your first time going out, first time on a stage. Most people freeze still. I mean, even in their first tournament match. So, really, really good job in that regard.
What was the moment
Yeah.
where I kind of have a feeling that it's going to be that basement Street Fighter thing, but what was the moment where you just looked around and you're like, this is what I want to do? That's the question I want to ask you because again, you've been competing since whatever, since the Street Fighter 4 basement days, but at what moment that you can remember as far back were you like, this is going to be my career for the intern? Like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm passionate about. Was there a specific moment or was it just going through all of those?
It is going through a lot. But I think also one of the moments is when I was at next level was when I played against KDZ.
Ooh.
There was this was after he won like he won Evo, and like he visited one of the locals, and I had to fight him on stream, and I was like, I was like
Mm.
a sort of a fanboy at the time, like, oh shoot, he's here, and I'm gonna play him on stream. That's crazy. And I was playing Bane, and oh my god, and for like the first round, I don't remember if it was I think it was like the first health bar first game. I don't remember because he won that set, but I was doing whatever I want. Like I was hitting him, and we know what Bane does. He comes in, rushes you down, grabs you, armors, and I was just doing it. And then by the time I realized that I took a first health bar, and I was so excited. I was so happy. Even if I didn't even like that the set wasn't over. Like people were getting super hyped because they just see me. I was just some random guy. You can even watch it on YouTube. I was just some random kid who is fighting the Evo champion, and people were getting so hyped when I took I think his first health bar with Bane, and it looked like he was trying to figure out the matchup as well. And for me, I think at that moment, the feeling like the fact that I was fighting a strong player, and I was like really that round I was just doing my own thing. It just made me really excited and made me want to like really keep playing even more. And like I got beat like so bad after that set. Like he adapted as the great player he usually does, and he beat me in the set, but I still wanted to like keep
Get that run
playing.
back, baby. Yep, get that.
Yeah,
Run back,
exactly.
really. Speaking
Exactly.
of your Bane and Injustice One, this will be a completely different subject, and I hope it's one that you're comfortable talking about. But it's speaking about your Bane and Injustice One
Mhm.
because I was there during a time where because you found really quick success with Bane, that a lot of people attributed your wins to the character. If you remember this,
Yes,
and
I remember
and
this.
and then randomly at some tournament you enter, everyone's like, oh shit, it's Gur, I'm about to get baned, and then you show up with the Joker.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my
Was
god.
that was that because I don't even know why he's laughing. I honestly, this is Gur just having a good time. He's like, I'm gonna fuck people up with Joker, yeah, because that's because I can. I don't know, but my question is, was that because of that pressure from the community saying that by chance?
That's just yeah, and that's one of the lessons that I've learned back then is to like you should not care what anybody thinks no matter who you play, what you do, because that's what was working. And for me, I at the time I wanted to feel like what I did was all me. I don't care about the character. Yeah, whatever. The character was good, but you know, I still did what I did. So to do that, I wanted to play, a character I enjoyed fun, and he was considered the worst character in the game, Joker, and he was a lot of fun to play. But doing that, although even though there was like a little bit of success, not even not that much, um, but it didn't really get me anywhere, Like yeah, I beat people with Joker. I got as much as I could with a character that was considered the worst in the game. Doing that, like I said, did not get me anywhere. It didn't, get me the results that I want. If it's not like people be like, "Oh, he can play Joker. Uh, I guess he's not carried by the character or whatever." And I just realized, like, I feel like if I just stuck with Bane through the whole time, working on what I had to work on, no matter what anybody thought of, as you know, related to MK11, I, as you guys know, I'm a loyalist. Like I'm a character loyalist now, and that's part of the reason. It's just like I want to keep. I'm having fun with this one character. I want to keep learning all the matches when I can with this character, and then how far I can take this before I feel like I have to make a switch or have a backup. And so far, I haven't felt the need to do that because I just feel like it was just all on me. It was all on me to make those improvements as a player, and it's nothing to do with the character. And I don't care what anybody says about the character, whether they're broke, they're bad, whatever. Play people who play them are character. Like who cares? That's not what gets you results or wins. It's your time putting on to. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody MK11, no character carries nobody in that game. Nobody is carried. They've worked so hard with their character and they've earned the results with their own two hands. So no character will do that. No character plays for you, and that's why I try to emphasize for anybody.
It's incredible in MK11 that the people that have found success in MK11 have been consistently finding success in MK11 throughout its entirety, no matter what has changed to the game. They're beating everyone else consistently across the board, and we're playing in more tournaments than ever. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding that, you know, it's to exactly what you just said. I feel the same exact way. You know, these guys, they're, you know, it's the crowd just trying to get you to come off that character, and I think that a lot of people could learn from exactly what you just said of not, you know, not giving into that, and for people also not giving into maybe the pressure of you having to play a character because they're considered good, not because you necessarily enjoy playing them. And I'm kind of the same way, Gur. And I feel like there aren't many loyalists left, and I hope that you guys hearing this, you know, just pick a character that you love and enjoy playing, and use what the game gives you, what NetherRealm gives you, to try to earn your victory that way. And it's putting in a lot of work, and it's a perfect segue, Gur, into, can you give us a little bit behind how you practice these games, maybe? Because we don't get a lot of opportunities to talk about that. You know, what goes into your practice for the game, and how you find success, how you find answers for things, maybe things like that.
The way I approach these games now are a lot different than how I did before. How I play the like older NRS games was playing, like grinding these sets out no matter what, like putting so many hours to just playing this one matchup or this one player, and you know, and just going with the flow, you know, and just not taking the time to actually lab it. I used to hate labbing. Like labbing was one of the least favorite things.
I did not know that. I thought you loved the lab this entire time.
I thought you sat in practice mode.
Hey, big surprise, right?
Wow. Oh my goodness.
A big surprise.
No,
you know,
I feel like I've been lied to this whole time.
Yeah, I'm just
deceived.
like things I find out we're on the fly, and things like, oh, that's unsafe, or I didn't know they could do that in this situation. But as time went on, I've learned to actually enjoy the process of finding answers for specific scenarios. And like I said, I've learned that from players like Dragon and KDZ, where they put so much work into what they play and things that they know that will work in this situation, and why they're so confident in doing it in that moment. And if there's a blockade, if there's like an obstacle, I'm just like, I hate this character. I had, you know, at that moment, I'm like, I have to find answers, and I have to look back on matches that were in, you know, on stream, or wherever, just on stream and the archives and my match replays. I look back and to see where I did wrong and what I could do better, and what I had to understand what they can do against you and what you can do against them. It's just so important. It's like, I don't want to call homework because nobody likes homework, but you have, like, to be a competitor, there's just things you have to do that just bring you discomfort with anything in life. If you feel discomfort for something, the best way to do it is just you just go and fight it head on. Just keep pushing. And when I did that for labbing, I found out like, wow, this is actually kind of fun because now when that situation comes up where I've trained my muscle memory to do a specific situation, best example is flawless blocks. You guys know how much I love flawless blocking in MK11. It's
I'm
because
the
of
one
the
shaking my head
experience.
because he does this shit to me.
I'm shaking my head because it
flawless
sucks.
blocks is
It sucks. I can never do it, man.
And it's just that practice. I'm like, this feels rewarding. It's I feel like the time I put in in the lab, the answers I was looking for, and were there right before me. When you can actually feel that it's paying off, that's when you know it's worth it. That's when you want to keep doing it, and that's how I learned. It was a process. So it was a whole process. I was like trial and error to finding the answers and being prepared for anything.
Yeah, one thing I found that really helps me, I love what you said, where it's like if something in life brings you discomfort, it's just to tackle it head on. I think, and like that resonated with me so hard because, especially when I first started out doing my YouTube thing, I fucking hated editing, bro. I did not want to edit my videos. I didn't want to listen to myself. I was like, I can't. I physically can't. I was dead broke, and I was going to pay my friend to edit my videos for me. I didn't know how I was going to get the money, but I just did not want to edit. And then, what really helped me is just to understand the bigger picture. It's like by editing these videos and putting them out, you're one step closer to your goal and one step closer to succeeding on YouTube with every video that you put out. So it's like every time I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I got 3 videos to edit and I don't want to do it. It's just constantly reminding myself like what the goal is and what the bigger picture is. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head where you're like, it sucks. I don't want to do it, but if I want to get the results and, accomplish my goals, like I'm going to fucking do this. And then you come to enjoy it. Now it's like editing for me is like kind of therapeutic in a way. It's kind of just my time to kick back and really get things done. And yeah, to hear that, I think that resonates across the board with competitive players or content creators or anything. But now, since we are talking about,
oh boy,
exactly,
we're talking about
editing,
YouTube. I know
labbing.
what's coming. I know.
Now, since we're talking about YouTube, the resident YouTuber here,
Here we go.
I have to bring it up with every. It's gonna get to a point where it just becomes a meme on the show. It's like Flashyy all he fucking talks about is YouTube. It's like, yeah, I fucking love YouTube, but Gur, I did a deep dive on your YouTube. So,
oh no,
interestingly enough,
why?
Okay, well, exactly. It's like my question is, why are you not grinding out the YouTube? Because there's so much there. But before we get there, a little history lesson. 9 years ago, our man Gur was uploading Team Fortress 2 videos to his YouTube channel, and then disappeared off YouTube for 6 years, and then comes back with Injustice 2. Bro, 9 years ago, you're uploading Team Fortress 2 videos. Please, I need to know. Talk to me about those days. What? And why did you stop? Why did you stop?
So, this is when I got my my first gaming laptop. My dad got me a gaming laptop because I asked for it, and I was like super young, and this was when I was like, when I wasn't grinding fighting games, I was grinding PC games, random PC games, and TF2 was one of the games I've always wanted to play. Like back then, I had my computer was terrible, like a terrible computer for gaming. I didn't even have a mouse. I played on trackpad for all the games. So when I did, I'm like, man, I just grinded out TF2 just for fun because it was just such a fun game. And one of the days there was like a special event for TF2, which was the Man versus Machine event. It was like the first like thing for PvE, which was a big thing at the time for that game. And I wanted to explain. Oh my god! Now it's just coming back to me. I just wanted to explain what it was like. Oh my god! I'm just sorry. I'm just like my brain's exploding.
Man. We gotta hear it. Yep.
It's all coming back to
it. Boxing. Yeah, season pass. This was like before season passes were a thing. There was like tickets you could buy that you can earn to get more rewards and different rewards, and I was explaining that. And it's crazy. It's just like, wow, it's just a simple video that I just uploaded because I wanted to do YouTube when I was younger, because I don't know if you guys are familiar with YouTube poops. Like YouTube poops. I don't know. I don't assume you guys know that. I was on YouTube a lot. Basically, it's just something where you get like a show or a cartoon mostly, and then you just mash clips together to put in a funny context. Kind of like the memes you see now, sort of. That's where it kind of came from. It's just random clips, and you make them. You cut it out for the characters to say like funny stuff or whatever. I'm putting it basically. You can like look it up, and you're gonna go down a rabbit hole. So
Oh no.
I wanted to do that when I was younger, and even on the bad computer, it's just like it was not something I could really do because it would just shut off randomly, or I couldn't edit as much as I wanted to. I was just very new to it. I was a kid, so I didn't know much about it either. But doing that and uploading it simply, I just felt like it was pretty simple, and I'm surprised it got as much views as it did at the time. I guess that's when I uploaded when I was like getting popular, and even when I recorded,
What's that right now, Flash? What's that right now? I need to
you
know
heard the
how many is
typing.
it.
it's not in the millions, but I was
Bro.
way more.
9 years ago, 18,000 fucking views, man.
Yeah, I was like,
18,000 views. TF2 Man vs. Machine, new items and explanation from our boy Gur. Holy
Yeah.
crap.
If
I want
only,
my
if,
first video
if
on
only
the
he
channel.
spent the next 9 years grinding that game.
Right?
Starting off with
Yeah.
an 18 game bomb. Okay.
That's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I
man.
don't know why I didn't keep going. I just it was just not really in my plans or things I wanted to do, because I wanted to do when I was younger, like I said, and my brother had a YouTube account that I would upload there with like the YouTube poops, or some random anime music video, or was it anime music? Those were so popular back then.
Listen, the very first YouTube
Uh,
video I ever watched in my life was Papa Roach's, what's that song? Cut My Life into Last Resort.
Last resort.
Last
Papa
Resort.
Roach's Last Resort over Dragon Ball Z. Like it was just anime with music over it.
Oh my god!
Still to this day, one of the
all
greatest
over.
videos I've ever
The
seen in my
glory
life.
days,
But
dude.
I
The glory
digress.
days
I
of
digress.
YouTube.
First video I saw, I was like, this is the content creation. Just I can't believe that's what made me think of that.
Yeah, man. We just went
Yeah,
down
brings
memory
back
lane.
memories. I had the same moment you had, Aquaman.
I saw your brain like start leaking out of your ears, bro. You're like, holy shit, that was a decade ago of my life. But the reason I bring it up is because I know you're kind of on your Twitch grind. You're doing your thing on Twitch. Obviously, you're competing and you're crushing it, and you're doing your thing. But it's just there's such a market on YouTube, man. And we just had a conversation with Kerbo. That episode was last week, and I kind of was just like, dude, like you got to do it, man. And again, I don't want to get in the way of your grind or your competing or anything like that, but have you at least thought about, like, because I see here you got pretty consistent uploads. Like 7 months ago you uploaded a couple times a week. 6 months ago you uploaded once. 5 months ago was the last time you uploaded. These are doing good, and you have a really good foundation on your channel with over 1,000 subs already. Like I just think that it's
I didn't get to. Oh man, I had to tweet that out. I was so surprised, honestly. I was so surprised.
with getting 1,000 subs.
1,000. Yes,
Dude,
I was so
already
surprised.
got 44,000 views. Like, you got a great foundation on your YouTube. Have you thought about, of course, like, you're still doing the streaming, you're still doing the competing. Have you thought about, like, maybe uploading regularly, like 2 or 3 times a week or anything like that? Is that something that's in your plans now, or are you kind of just like, I just like competing and I don't want to complicate it any more than that?
No, I definitely thought about it a lot, especially on what I wanted to do if I were to pursue doing content creation for YouTube. And for me, I've always wanted to do either uploads of my tournament runs or tutorials. Like, really, my vision, my ideal vision for it was to have like I don't know if you guys are familiar with like MOBAs. Do you guys know any MOBAs like League of Legends and stuff? There's plenty of videos on that. Yeah. Channels like Skill Capped or Pro Guides make videos on the tier list or various strategies on how to play the game. It's just something I wanted to do.
They rake in the views, man. They rake them in. And like where you're going with it, man, continue on. But yeah, I know exactly what you're going to say.
I wanted to do something like that.
On top of that, I feel like there's a big market for all of us, and especially you, where the knowledge, you have a plethora of knowledge in these games and how to approach them. One of the things that I feel like, there is a market for in our space is that teaching from our best, passing something along or trying to get our community to overcome the biggest hurdle that I feel like we have. Mortal Kombat is the greatest selling fighting game of all fucking time. It just sells. It's worldwide. Everyone knows about it. The fighting game community doesn't make up 0.0000000, probably 0.01% of the actual people that play the game in the grand scheme of things. How do we get how do we grow? How do we get just a fraction of the casual audience that's out there to try to play these games competitively? And I feel like bridging that gap is kind of exactly what you're talking about with those other games like Dota and League, where, or even myself, where if I'm interested in a game that comes out, I'm like, oh, Back 4 Blood's coming out. Let me look on YouTube for what the best current fucking decks, cards are, and what do the characters even do to get me into that game. Like, that's what's so hard about fighting games, because they're so complex that not a lot of people put in that work for someone to look up a video on MK11 that says, how do I play, or how do I compete? More importantly, it's not how do I play, it's how do you compete, and then go through the steps behind that and all that fun stuff. If we were able to grab the casual audience maybe a little bit more with content like that, we could see some numbers increase. And I think that's something that's perfect for someone that has a galaxy brain like yours when it comes to these fighting games. So that sounds absolutely incredible, and I think is the perfect place to end this conversation on a perfect note. Gur, keep doing you, man, is I guess the best thing I can say. Keep fucking doing you. You are such a positive force in this community. Flashyy, do you got anything else for him?
Yeah, first and foremost, you were talking about nobody likes homework. I want your homework to be 3 uploads in the next 2 weeks. I want to see it on the channel. 3 uploads.
I can do it.
Minimum.
I can do that.
I want to see it, because I'm telling you, man, you like he said, you have the knowledge, so you already got the things to talk about. Now it's literally just a matter of putting it into a little 11 to 13 minute video, uploading it, raking in the views, getting the ad revenue, growing your fan base, and growing the community at the same time. And I think if there's anybody that can do it, it's you. And Aquaman used the greatest term for you, is that you're a beacon, man. Like, you are literally just that pillar at the end of the road that's just radiating sunlight. And it's so awesome to be able to talk to you and to just see you thriving. And the reason that I said I had a bone to pick with you is because I want to see you thrive even more. Like, you're thriving in the competitive space, you're doing your thing on Twitch. Now it's time to start raking in YouTube views and ad revenue and stuff like that. So that's why I'm being annoying about it, is because I know you could be even greater than you already are, which I don't even know how that's possible, but I know that you can. But as Aquaman said, you're an absolute beacon in this community. I mean, just meeting you for the first time, like damn near 2 years ago at this point, I still remember that moment where I shook your hand. And, that's important. It's important to have people like you, and you do really have a big impact on especially the NRS community. So whenever you're feeling down or you feel like whatever's happening, just know that we're always rooting for you, man. We're always rooting for you, no matter what.
Thank
and
you
with
so
that, I
much.
want to give you the floor. Tell the people where to find you. Tell the people what you got going on. And dude, I cried like almost twice on this show, which is 2 more times than I should cry in public. So let's wrap it up. Gert, tell us what you got going on. Tell us where they can find you, and then we'll call it from there, man.
Thank you so much. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, it's Gur. You see under there, Gur_George. On YouTube is Gur. It's just Gur. And on Twitch, it is Mr._Gur. Mr_Gur. And that's where you can find me on my socials. Feel free to shoot me up a question if you have anything concerning the game. And if you just want to chat as well, I try to play with as many people as I can. Try to fit that into my schedule. But, I appreciate everyone who has been supporting me to this day. So I'm truly grateful.
All right, everybody, go subscribe to Gur's YouTube channel, because he's about to start popping off with the uploads. Be sure to subscribe to the Kolosseum YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter, as Gur said. All of his info will be down in the description. Be sure to follow on Spotify. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to catch you next week with another episode of the KoloCast. Peace.